Welcome to part 1A. Everybody's including Johnny Foreigner. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just thought I'd have a bit of levity there. Welcome to part 1A of the Fokker Dr1 with your host, the Baron Flights. And we're going to go through the manual bit by bit to make sure that every part is to your delight and delectation. And so, the first thing that the manual says is to put the motor together. They indicate you to leave a nut because I'm not going to put this little red nose on. It's the 5mm nut, so I've got one of those. And it's telling us to put all the gear together, which we're going to do. So we're going to follow the book, okay? Because if you follow the book, well, you shouldn't go wrong really. Anyway, with this setup, I bought the so-called electronics with the kit, and we are going to put it all together, starting with the motor. So I've saved a little bit of time, and I've put the motor on a bit of plyboard, and I've started to put it together. Now, I go through this with you if you're not used to soldering and stuff like that. You get 3 pins. Now, there's a male and a female. The male looks like that, and the female looks like that. The male goes into the female. Now, you'll notice with the female side, there's a little hole there, and that's where the cable goes in this end. So nearest that little hole, and then the other hole goes into, well, the male goes into that hole there. Okay, now this is where you need to invest in different colours of heat shrink, because if the motor goes the wrong way round or jutters or for whatever reason, you can identify, I was trying to say easily identify what cables go where. Okay, so we're going to put the heat shrink on. That one's ready for shrinking, so there's one I've already done. And you've got to make your life a whole lot easier if you have some helping hands. And I'm not doing that end, am I? I'm doing this end. It always goes wrong when you're on camera. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop that in there like that. I have pre-tinned the cable. Okay, there you go. So we'll bend it round so you know you can get that into there. A bit like doing a practice run. Yeah, that goes into there. So I've pre-tinned it. Now, here's my iron. I've had this for donkey's years, and I have a little file, and what you do is you just deoxidize ever so lightly that tip. Now, you're going to get some experts out there who's pulling their hair and you don't do it like that, you don't do it like that. Well, I bloody well do. There you go. And you need some solder. There's my solder. And this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Now, in an ideal world, when I'm not trying to do this in front of a camera, I would have that the other way up. So the solder will actually go into the pin, run in of its own accord. Anyway, let's see if we can. Now, notice I've got the heat shrink already on, and you warm that up, count to 10 roughly, you add the solder on, and if your parts are nice and clean, that will run on readily. Okay, that's in. Now I need to give that a second or two to cool down so I can handle it and inspect it. Still a bit hot. Yeah, that's in nicely. That's in quite nicely. Now I'm not going to apply the heat shrink just yet because I want to do the heating up all at the same time, so I'll just give it a chance to cool down. Just about there, and that goes there like that, and then we'll heat shrink it. Okay, and we'll do the next one. Get that one ready. Take the male pin. There we are, nice position. Okay, there we go. That goes in okay there, like that. And we've got solder. Oh, there's a solder. Okay, and I grab the iron, which is nice and hot. Heat that up. Count to 10. Yeah, that's attached. So I'll just let that cool down. There we go. Now, for those of you who are not fully au fait with what's going on, these, oh dear, there's my preparation gone to pot. These female ends, let's put that heat shrink back on there. This is for the battery end. They go on to the speed controller. This is the speed controller. Okay, and we've got to put these ends on here. So make sure I've got the spot the right way around. Check that they do go in, because this looks as though it needs, yes, it needs a bit of messing around with. What I'm going to do is take some of the insulation off, only a little bit. Only a little bit, maybe millimetre, 2 millimetres. Take that off. Expose a little more there. Now, this has not been tinned properly, I can see it hasn't. So we get our pliers. Yeah, you can just, can you see that shape of that? It's not round, it's flat. Okay, let's just squeeze. Round that off a little bit. Do a trial fit. See, it's best to do a trial fit because, well, because of this really, you don't know what's going to happen. There you go, that goes in. That's okay, that's great. We've got our heat shrink on there ready. And this piece of heat shrink is falling off this one. Okay. Grab a helping hand there. And because this metal bit here is going to get hot, we don't want to hold that. There you go. Can you see all that? Because I'm not looking through the screen, I'm looking at what I'm doing, because if I don't look at what I'm doing, I know I'm going to cock it up. Okay, so where's the solder gone? There's the solder. Okay, and get that ready there. Take the iron, give it a wipe, make sure it's nice and clean. The trick about any of this is to keep things clean, bright and shiny as much as you can. Here we go. There you are, let's jump it in. Grab that there. You got this little hole here. You're supposed to, if you can, get it a little bit through the hole, as much as you can. It's also there to let gases escape. Okay. And just get a bit of a tug. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Right, so I'm going to do the other two, and then we'll move on rapidly forward. Right then, this is my collection of heat shrink tube. I haven't got every size, so it's not the neatest job I've ever done for heat shrink, because I could really do with different colours being the same size. Never mind. Anyway, so where are we? We have colorized our cables. There you go. And there's no metal showing there. We have the females on the right, the males on the left. There's your speed controller. Far right is your motor. And you have to put on the, now let me just get this right, a JST connector. You have to solder that on, okay, and then put your heat shrink on. For reasons best known to themselves, they haven't done it for you. And then of course you've got your battery, which you should have charged. Now you then come to your receiver. Now I'm using Spectrum. So what I'm going to do, I might have to make this a two-part, I don't know. See how we get on. Well, let's go from the ultimate beginning. You've got to bind to this. Now let's get these port numbers sorted out. So the throttle goes into number 1. Yeah, so in other words, that comes from your speed controller, yeah, and that goes in to number 1. Number 2 is your ailerons, and that goes to a Y lead, okay. Number 3 is the elevator, okay, elevator, and number 4 is the rudder. Now what I've done is, to make life a lot easier for me down the line, I've marked them. Number 4 rudder, number 2 aileron, and the other aileron, number 2, okay, and number 3 elevator. It's gonna make your life a lot easier, trust me on that one. Now you have, with the electronics kit, as they call it, you have 2 different servos. Now let me see if I get this right. This one is 4 grams, and I want you to put this inside the top wing. Now just as a point of it is just a point of interest, the servos that I used with the vintage model company SE5A was a 1.5 gram, which is smaller. I'm just saying, you know, don't read into that, I'm just saying. Okay, now the larger one, which would be the rudder and the elevator, let's have a look, see what size that is. Yeah, that's a 4.1 gram. Just to make sure I got it right, the other one, 4 gram. So the rudder and elevator are the bigger size, ailerons are the smaller size. You can get these a lot smaller, you know. I think possibly for future reference, maybe they'll do a DR1 Mark II, I don't know. Just saying, you know, there's nothing in it. Okay, so we've got to bind your radio with your receiver. Oh, got a little sticker there. What does it say? It says, oh, I dropped it. It says rudder. Okay, I'll put that back on the rudder then. I know which one's the rudder. It's the one with that label on it. There you go. See? Made a mistake. That's what it's all about. Okay, so we turn on our radio. Let's go to the radio. Now, actually, no, that's not the right way around, is it? The right way round is to connect the battery, which I already have. So that will follow. Okay, you press the bind button on the receiver, you flick this switch here on your radio, you turn your radio on, that goes into bind, that then stops flashing like that, you let go of the bind, then you should go ding diddle ding or something of that nature. Let's hope it does. Yes or no? Try again. Oh, there it goes. There you go. So now that's bound to this receiver from that radio. So everything should be working, including the motor. There you go. Right. Phew, I thought it was going to go wrong there. So what are they on about in the manual, or if I like, as I like to call it, the instructions? Well, if everything is centralised, which at the moment it is, they want you to have this arm in a certain direction. So what you do, you just pull it off and put it back on again until it's as near as vertical as is most practical. Oh, dropped it. This one's the elevator. No. No. Yeah, you're going to struggle getting that into the absolute centre. But, you know, you can make that up with trim or adjustments or whatever. That's slightly off centre there. We do that. I don't know what I'm doing that for. Is this one? No. I've used up all my trim. Which means I've got to get into my radio. So we'll look and see if I can find the trim. Travel adjust. Sub trim. There we go. Gear aileron. Yeah, that's all right. No problem there. Flaps mix to differential. Monitor. Yeah, there it is. It's monitor. So we go into monitor. You can see the throttle's nearly all the way down. So I want to get that as far down as I can. There you go. And let's have a look. Ailerons, they're in the centre. Rudder, that's in the centre. And the one we were messing with was the elevator, I believe. See if we can get that back to the middle. That was, oh yeah, there's it. That's ailerons. Ailerons in the middle. Where were we? There we go. So it's channel 5 that we're not bothered about. Okay, so they're all in the middle apart from the throttle, so that should be okay. And if we want to, we can just save that by turning it off, turn it on again. So basically what they're asking you to do is centralize the servos. Now, which one's this? This is the aileron. The aileron looks as though it's central anyway, which is what they're really after. That one's ever so slightly on the cock. That's all right. Yeah. Rudder. If we'll go over one. No, you're not going to win with that. So you'll have to take that adjustment up when you put it all on. Just adjust it up, it's not a big deal. So there you go. So you're bound, all your servos are working. Now let's have a look at the motor. And I'll just unplug this as a safety feature. There you go. The motor. Now, they give you the prop and you need to check these and put the correct inner in into there, and all you do is just rest it through there, through these like that until you find the one that fits, and then when you found it you pop it into the center there. Now I'm going to take my 5mm nut off. It says in the book to go anti-clockwise. Okay, so let's just pop that on. Just going to do it finger tight. There you go. do that a slow spin. Oh, of course, I've got to recount the battery. See, it's all live, it's not rehearsed. There you go. There we are. Now let's give that a bit of a whirl. Nothing's in the way of it. Keep your fingers away from the prop, alright? That is indeed turning anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise is that way. Okay? Anti. Going that way, it's clockwise. So that is indeed. And I'll put my hand above it to make sure that the airflow is going to the bottom, which is correct. So we've been very lucky here that all these cables have the correct colours in line. That does not always happen. You can trust me with that. So we know that the motor's going anti-clockwise, the airflow is coming this way, not this way. So we're good with that. So that now completes that setup, which they task you with on page 4, which is the beginning, which is main parts of frames building schedule. Now, I think we're getting up to what, 15-20 minutes. So what I was going to balance the prop, but what I will do, I think, is leave that till the end. I was going to go into setting up the radio, expo and so forth, because Cliff is very keen on that sort of thing. So we'll call it a wrap, because otherwise you're just going to get bored. Just a few call outs. Harris 53 is covering his SE5A, and I just want him to let me know how he's getting on with that. A big shout out to Downwind Checklist, Ian's RC Exploits, RJ Smith, Jeff in Lower Alabama, I needed to say Albania then. Of course, Harris 53, Jeff F, Fun Scale Models, Furball, Bill Cooper, and a really big shout out to Pat O'Connor, who I believe is just getting into modelling. Hello Pat, keep at it. And Red Whiskers Nagel, I don't know how to pronounce that. So okay, I'll see you in part 2, and we'll start the build, which is fuselage construction part 1. So we've now covered the first part. I'm doing this strictly to the manual. I'm not moving forward or anything like that. Strictly to the manual. Okay, so if I do build it strictly to the manual, and this thing don't fly, then I can say, well, you know what? It ain't me, it's you, matey, because this cost me a lot of money. Okay, thank you for watching, and goodbye.